the event here. We got our KTIE table over there. I was thinking as I watched everybody stand and beautifully recite the Pledge of Allegiance that where I got my master's degree was at the University of California, and there they probably would have called that civil disobedience. And I'm looking out of the crowd and I'm going, okay, I got two age groups distinct here. One listens to me when they get up, the other listens when they're going to bed. Just wanted to give a couple of shout outs again. Thank you to Redlands, University of Redlands so much. Thanks to the Town Hall Patriots from Redlands. And thanks to Phil Naiman, Annie, and others at the Redlands Tea Party Patriots. And don't forget, listen to their show Saturdays at 2:30, Redlands Tea Party Radio on 2 o'clock on KTIE on Saturdays. Thank you much. Now, the university put up a big chunk of the change to pay for this. Redlands Tea Party Patriots, KTIE, also involved in helping to sponsor. There will be a donation box at the back of the room at the end of the event if you want to donate. Buy some books from Andrew to thank him for coming out as well. And then a couple of shameless plugs. KTIE is having an event with Michael Medved. Anybody know who Michael Medved is? Sunday, September 25th, just a couple Sundays from now, that is going to be... Brad, where is it? San Bernardino Hilton. Thank you. You listeners know better than me. I'm trying to look at this and do this at the same time. So tickets are $20, and each ticket comes with a free companion ticket. So buy one ticket, two people get in free. Go to the website to check that out. Now, no further ado, the person you want to hear from, Andrew Breitbart is publisher of the news portals Breitbart.com and Breitbart TV. In January '09, he launched Big Hollywood, a group blog off of Breitbart.com on Hollywood and politics from the center-right perspective. Gained great notoriety when his second blog endeavor, Big Government, broke the Acorn child sex trafficking scandal. Well, I guess they kind of like that, Andrew. Breitbart launched Big Journalism in January 2010, and his newest blog, Big Peace, launched July 4th of the same year. Andrew co-wrote the best-selling Attack on Celebrity Culture, Hollywood Interrupted, was the primary developer of the Huffington Post. His new best-selling book, Righteous Indignation, Excuse Me While I Save the World, is in stores and right here now, Andrew Breitbart.
I am a huge fan of the University of Redlands for having me here because one of my central theses is that diversity doesn't mean much if diversity of thought isn't taken into account. It's not just about color, it's about diversity of ideas. And Leela and John, thank you very much for allowing for me to speak here. I think that it speaks greatly for what the definition of diversity means at this campus, and to be treated graciously, given that they're both quaking in their boots at what is about to ensue. I'm going to take you back about 3 months ago. And I went to Dallas to go to a Tea Party event put together by American Majority. And this is a group that's trying to put together some of the people who have emerged from within this ludicrously ground-up movement of citizens saying, we're no longer going to allow for out-of-control politicians to be in control of our democracy. We're going to have more of a hands-on say in it. And it's amazing the people that I've met over the last 2 years. I'm from Brentwood, okay? I'm a fancy pants Jewish dude, secular Jew from west side of Los Angeles, and 2+ years into the Tea Party, I don't even know if I fit in Brentwood anymore. And so to be able to come out here into the hinterlands is where I go to convene with my people. And you are my people, so thank you very much for being here. I went to this event in Dallas, and I do a lot of speaking, and quite frankly, I'm from Hollywood. I'm a narcissist. I like to hear myself speak. And I didn't know what I was going to say to this group of people in Dallas because I had been giving so much hell in so many venues, including telling the doctors that were giving fake notes in Wisconsin and the rabble-rousers walking around the Capitol who were using those Brazilian vuvuzeleza, whatever those things are, when a 14-year-old was attempting to do the national anthem at a tea party where in front of all of the union protesters, the unions were there to shout her down and to use those things. And so I went up there to introduce Sarah Palin, and I was sort of captivated. The emotionalism overtook me, and I told the people in the surrounding areas who were making the noise, and who were the same people who were indulging in getting fake doctor's notes in order to get the government to pay them to take a day off, which was the teachers lying and working in collusion with the university professors, which our citizen journalists noticed, but the big ABC, CBS, and NBC satellite trucks didn't notice, but the citizen journalists noticed people dressed in doctors' coats saying, "Does anybody want a free doctor's note?" I'm like, "Hey, let's film that." And I got one of those things. And so I just started to notice, well, how about how they had graffitied a war memorial in the rotunda and were filmed, not even comprehending that what they did was bad form. I was so sick of it that I told them to go to hell. I said, go to hell. As the Tea Party's been called racist and sexist and homophobic, absent any evidence, called violent, yet they clean up after themselves, look at how you're behaving and the media's cleaning up for you. And so I finally had it. I was at my wit's end and I said, go to hell. Go to hell. And it was not just to them who knew that they could get away with it, shouting down 14-year-olds, because they knew the press wouldn't notice. They knew they could get away with it. So I was telling the mainstream media to go to hell, because they're complicit in this, and we all know it. We have been under attack. And so I was pissed off, and I told them to go to hell. So when I went to Dallas, I didn't know what I was going to say to the Tea Party leaders who were trying to figure out, what are we going to do in 2012? I'm like, well, I've had the ability to have traveled the country, probably about 39 states, to go to countless tea parties, to meet countless good and decent people out there who have been maligned by the Tea Party, and their motivation by people that don't know them and don't want to know them has been distilled down to prejudice, that their motivation to control the federal deficit is based upon an innate racism. Isn't it obvious to you? It's obvious to Janine Garofalo. It's obvious to ABC, CBS, and NBC. And I said to this group of people, as in the corner, I was reminded that I had a friend in the audience that didn't come from our point of view, or the majority of our point of view, and that was Lee Stranahan, who reached out to me, a left-of-center blogger from the Huffington Post, Daily Kos, and from MoveOn.org, who reached out to me and said, I disagree with your politics, but I think that my side has maligned you by telling untruths about you, and I want to be involved in trying to get the real story on the things they've said about you. And I said, I'll give you full access to my life. And within a month, he was working with me on a major story, the Pigford story, and I basically said to the guy, I trust you, I'm going to give you my thesis on this, go out and disprove it. So anyway, Lee's in the room, and he's a reminder that not everybody on the other side is intellectually dishonest and trying to frame us in the worst possible light. So I was reminded of him. Perhaps I was cognizant that Lee was in the crowd just as I see that John and Leela are here, and I'm not here to create a civil war in this country and to sow more dissent. We have enough of it. And I started to give a speech that I actually had an out-of-body experience, and I just walked out and I sat in the front row and I listened to myself and I said, is Andrew Breitbart really giving this speech to these Tea Party leaders? And this is what I told them. And I said, before you even went up, and after Obama was elected, based upon the premise, how do I know? I live in Brentwood, and I have a Whole Foods 1.1 miles away from me. And that Whole Foods parking lot is filled with a lot of cars that are miraculously solar powered. And they all told me to imagine world peace and that dissent was patriotic. And during the 8 years of the Bush administration, I live at the UCLA campus, I watched the anti-war movement peacefully, if anti-Israel signs, portraying, Israel as a slaughterer and an oppressor and an apartheid state, and being behind 9/11 is peaceful. The left was able to congregate in this country to protest the President of the United States at a time of war, and the mainstream media said there is no such thing as treason, dissent is patriotic. And at the end of the day, for 8 years, there was a nonstop drum of Bush is the worst human being in the world, and we were to accept there was nothing. There was nothing that could be interpreted as treason at a time of war. Okay, fine. Those are the ground rules. I accept that premise. Are we willing to accept the premise that you can say anything against the President of the United States? The second that the Tea Party started to congregate, the same people that said that dissent is patriotic started to say that you had no right to go out there, and did everything they could to silence you and shut you up, including craft elaborate propaganda campaigns. The first thing that happened was taking the Department of Homeland Security, and Janet Napolitano created a report that was put out right before the 4/15, the tax day protest, put out a report that said that all of you people are not unlike Timothy McVeigh and the Michigan militia. Okay? Okay, I see where you're heading with this. And then Janine Garofalo and the comedians and the Olbermans and the Maddows started to say, these people who are against Obamacare and who are against the stimulus and TARP are racist. And it's obvious that they're racist. And the black people that are there are Uncle Toms. And that what they were trying to do was tell people who were upset with government and that the government wasn't listening to them and the government was spending, and that the people who even represented the side that believes in limited government was part of a corrupt system, which includes even the Republicans, who are as complicit in this because they get voted in claiming that they're there to oversee these type of things. And so I watched as the mainstream media, what I call in the book the Democrat media complex, the natural alliance of the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, and liberal interest groups, I watched as they created a campaign to malign you. And the number one line of defense, I speak this in the name of diversity, was to scare the living crap out of minorities that you're a bunch of racist bigots. Because the Democratic Party, as we know it, cannot afford to lose 5% of the black vote.
In the good old summertime, in the good old summertime, strolling through the